Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Do we have anybody from the public wishing to make comments? No. Seeing none, I'm gonna move on to the consent calendar. Anybody have any concerns about the minutes?
No, move to approve.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, then let's move to receive financial audit report.
Thank you, Chair Corrigan. I'd like to welcome back Brett Bradford, Cynthia Brinker, who's been handling our audit for us, as well as Mike Maher, who was our controller duties and has done a lot of the heavy lifting for us in this audit. And I believe on the phone we have Beth, also from Brett's firm. Beth, are you there? I'm sorry. Beth, are you there? No.
Not yet, I just sent her the info, so.
No
Beth
worries.
is not who was on the video last week.
Yeah, that was
That was Beth?
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm having names mixed up.
So here to receive the report before we present next week to the board, I'll defer it over to Brett.
All right, thank you very much. So we have our pre-finalization board or audit committee presentation, I should say, on the screen. This is very similar to what you've seen in the past, but please interrupt and with any questions whatsoever, since the point of all this is definitely information exchange. You've seen my my bio plenty of times now at this point. Beth should be joining us on the line any minute here, and she has come online helping out with all of the CCA engagements this year, so she's been a great help to me in that regard. And I think it's gone pretty well. Once again, I was just chatting with Mr. Maher about that. I won't bury the lead. Everything is looking good this year. We're going to be issuing very quickly and in time to get it into the board packet, the final with a quote-unquote a clean opinion, which means that the financial statements are materially accurate based on our audit. And we also don't have any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control to report. This slide just quickly revisits some of the roles and responsibility. Management is responsible for preparing the financial statements and establishing the system of internal control. That's Don's team, that is Maher's group. And the auditor is responsible for auditing the financial statements. So we do that by considering risks of material misstatement in the financial statements, which we call inherent risk. Considering internal controls relevant to the financial statements, which we call control risk. And then we perform substantive tests. And then we also make sure that the disclosures are adequate and without bias in the financial statements. And of course, all of these are prescribed by the generally accepting auditing standards promulgated by the AICPA, certified public accountants. Like I said, very near completion, just waiting for this meeting. I think there might be a couple tiny little things that we're just wrapping up, but we should have no problem to clean those up within our prescribed time frame here. And as I noted, on unmodified opinion. This slide and the next couple just is a quick overview. And by the way, this is going to be very similar to my slideshow, my slide deck for the board presentation. Very open to adding additional information if there's anything else anybody would like, or if it's too much detail, I can modify that as well. So whatever, I'll really look to the audit committee to prescribe kind of what the appropriate amount of detail is for the full board. Significant areas of focus, revenue recognition is a big one. Mike and I were just talking about that. We do a good sized sample of accounts receivable as well as revenue recognized throughout the year, and that is actually looking at actual customer billing, looking at the rates that were applied, looking at the various details to make sure they're all lining up with the full record of accounts that's rolling into revenue for the year. And then one thing we do there is a big cash reconciliation, looking at all the cash to make sure that it's coming in as predicted based on the revenue recognized. So cash is king, as they say, so we take a close look at that. And then we also look at cash received subsequent to year end and relate it back to accounts receivable, which are recorded as well to get a comfort level on that. And then we also make sure that the revenue recognition through the year end and the method for determining it seem appropriate. Means even though you haven't billed for it as of 6/30 or 9/30, that you are still recognizing everything you should. So it's basically unbilled revenue right up to the end there. So that's accrued revenue, and it's got its own line item on the statement of net position. Oops, sorry, very sensitive mouse. There we go. To go on with a summary of our procedures, cash, we send confirmations directly to the financial institutions and receive those back and remove them back to when it's recorded. Accrued cost of electricity, this is on the other side. On the cost side, not only do we want to make sure that the revenue is appropriately recognized, but that the costs are there, so that both are, that we're observing the so-called matching principle. And then we want to make sure that there any other liabilities which might be out there are correctly scooped up and reflected on the statement of net position as well. And we do certain completeness procedures surrounding that. We look at cash going out after year end and see if there's anything that should have been accrued for but wasn't. And of course, like I said, looking at the, financial statement note disclosures, being completely without bias. Financial statement notes are prescribed, of course, by generally accepted accounting principles for governmental agencies. So this section just gets into some of our required board communications. Again, some of these sound a little bit repetitive and like they might be covering the same ground. These are prescribed by the auditing setting standards, again, the AICPA. So I'd like to get these out here and chat about them real quick, and it's all good news. And just in case there's any questions, though, we can talk about it. The significant accounting policies adopted by Silicon Valley throughout the periods audited appear appropriate and consistently applied. We didn't identify any alternative treatments of accounting principles. The point there is that you weren't picking and choosing the application of GAAP to make things look a certain way or avoid providing a true and accurate picture.
Can I just stop for 1 second and go back and say, it's rare that I've seen us referred to as SVCEA. Maybe edit that. I know that
That's
you're
our
using
official
it
name.
as
That's
authority.
our legal name,
As a-
but,
But you don't think anybody else will be look at that and go, okay,
We just leave off the authority most of the time.
yeah, fair enough. I was gonna say, I've never seen us called SVCEA.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
That's-
it's, whenever
okay.
they're signing contracts, that's what
Yeah.
that's.
Okay, good enough.
that's our full, that's our full name.
don't use that for
I
That's a
get it.
nickname?
Happy to use any shorthand that you
No.
like.
Sounds
As
like
long
you
as
had it
everybody
right.
knows what we're talking about. We're not gonna be proposing any adjustments at this time, because like I said, we're just about at the finish line. We didn't identify any significant or unusual transactions or applications of accounting principles where a lack of authoritative guidance exists. You weren't taking an aggressive or unusual stance on anything with respect to the financial reporting. No disagreements with management concerning the scope of the audits or application of accounting principles or the basis of management's judgments on any significant matters occurred. That's a good thing. Similarly, we did not encounter any difficulties in dealing with management during the performance of the audits.
You're thank God, you're pretty boring, Don. You are a boring
That's
guy.
a good thing. Happy to be bored.
And that concludes my slides.
Okay.
Beth, are you on the line?
See it.
She is. Oh, hi Beth.
It's so boring, she's not even on.
So, we can answer any other questions at this time. We did meet with the committee via video conference approximately 2 weeks ago. Got some of the basic blocking and tackling out of the way in terms of fraud inquiries and having a time without management present in case there's anything anybody wanted to discuss. So at this time, I'm open to, we're here to answer any other questions.
Yeah,
So you stated that you could trim this report?
Presentation.
So,
I'm like, I'm not sure how you would do that.
yeah, there's not a lot of slides. So I always try to strike a balance between, showing up with something in hand that can demonstrate to everybody that makes it look like, that we certainly do the work that we're stating we did versus having folks doze off, so I've seen both things happen. So I'm open to any, I can leave it the way it is, I
I
can.
guess, yeah, my question is, that took 5 minutes to go through, something like that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think that's an appropriate level of detail, it seems like to me.
yeah, everything will become
But
kind of past tense once
Yeah.
we issue.
hypothetically speaking, purely hypothetical, if you were going to expand it to 7 minutes, what would you add?
Oh, I can definitely drone on if I need to.
Or 10 minutes, or, like whatever, if you had,
I'm thinking that it might be a good idea, as the results are so overwhelmingly positive, to maybe,
Stated up front.
well, no, not the results of the audit necessarily, but the actual numbers. Some of the MD&A has a summarization of the change in net position, the increase of $65 million in our net position during the year. A lot of times, showing the bottom line changes that's something that it would be easy to add.
Right, so I also have, just to throw this out there, I have some, basically some data pulled together with a graph, basically with different lines with different colors for some of the other CCAs. We're able to discuss the other CCAs we work with, since this is all public information anyhow. We couldn't do it if it wasn't government, which is public. If you think like anything like that might be interesting, of course that brings up, okay, opportunity to comment and questions, which maybe we don't wanna go down that road, yeah.
I'm gonna say, yeah, so my thought is no on the bottom line. I mean, I'm sure it's something we're all proud of, but I just don't feel it's the appropriate time to call attention to it. And also, it's an audit of our systems and not necessarily a benchmark of where we stand with others.
Correct.
So I'm happy with I mean, great work,
Yeah.
but I think it's fine as it is.
So I do have one question. I agree with all your comments. I appreciate you asked the questions and then still landed where you did. The only thing what I think about in this is most of the electeds on a board, what they're familiar with is their city budgets and their city dollars, okay? This agency is totally different. The movement of money is like almost constant, right? Whereas in the city jurisdiction, it's pretty static. I mean, we do things,
Lots of
but,
funds.
yeah. So I don't know, whether, cause finance is one of the board's biggest responsibilities, and sometimes the hardest thing for board members to wrap their heads around. I don't know if part of an introduction, not ahead of theirs, it might help to say, just to put this in a context, when we talk about auditing, this is like, give an idea to the board members of how much movement there really is, because getting a clean report when you have a lot of financial transactions is different than getting a clean report when you have very few financial transactions, or, anywhere in between. So I don't know if that would help, just because it gives board members, we're looking at people who've been on the board for a while, so but whether or not that would be helpful to just say, you're talking about an audit of this many, like transactions, or just quantify it or something. I
It
don't know
could be
if that-
anecdotal,
It could be anecdotal,
preliminary comments.
Yeah, not necessarily adding slides.
Yeah, okay, sort of that.
I don't know.
quick
I mean,
introduction.
Because to me, this is really
Question
big.
for the auditors. In city budgets, so if we're talking about number of transactions, it seems to me cities have a lot of, it's just the dollar amount isn't very much, but they have actually
Utility bill.
tons,
And if they're doing that, or, providing that kind of service.
or even not utilities, right, it's just, you have a lot.
You do,
Yeah.
but some of these public agencies, I mean, if I look at like VTA compared to a city, it's totally different,
Yeah.
one project that you're talking about billions of dollars,
So,
But
yeah.
I don't know, again, I was just throwing a fishing line out there, I don't know if there's anything that might help. And I looked to Dawn only because, Dawn, you're the one who hopefully board members ask a lot of the financial questions and such. So this is just an opportunity to just, even if it's just a verbal anecdotal type of thing, I don't know.
And let me
And
noodle on that.
I'm not sure I'm saying we should,
Yeah,
but just putting it out there.
So just to clarify what you're saying, when I think of cities and us, fundamental difference is where money goes. Cities, it's 85 to 90% labor, the
Yeah.
total budget.
Yeah,
We are 2% labor. So it gets maybe to your point of the majority is in developing our product. And so,
kind of this, yeah, so anything that might contrast, give us an appreciation of what's different.
right, because the rules of thumb that you would apply in your city budget are
Mhm.
very different from the rules of thumb you would apply on this. Because for you, just say your labor costs go up 10%, well, your budget may go up 8%. Our labor costs go up 10%, we go from 2 to 2.2%. It's just one of those things of a reset, our business is different, maybe there's some other.
Can I
reasons.
try?
And also
Can I
to sort of
try?
like, yeah, risk type of things that might make us
Right.
different
Yeah, I think-
than.
I think that's what differentiates us from a general city ledger, is that you're auditing not just the financial transactions that are going on between SVCE and our bank and our vendors, but also the billing and then also the purchasing transactions. So it's all three branches of operations, as opposed to a city where you're just kind of auditing the checkbook and the financial staff and
Yeah,
policies
I
and
just think there's,
systems.
yes, there's inherent complexities that don't, a different type of complexities that doesn't exist in the city.
mhm,
I think there's also a different type of risk if you don't have,
mhm,
stellar,
right,
there's a higher risk associated to an agency, right?
Right.
Of our type, so,
yeah.
I don't know, don't
I
create
hear,
something
I
that
hear what
isn't
you're
it.
saying, and like, maybe I'll just noodle on that.
Noodle on it.
And figure out how to address it.
Considering I won't be sitting at the board
Neither
meeting
will I.
next week,
Oh, seriously?
I support this report, and keeping it short
No,
and
done.
sweet is definitely
We've
in,
both been replaced.
in keeping with how I think these meetings ought to run. And, you can include the entire packet and even say everything's there for your perusal if you so desire. And I, of course, welcome my emails there if you wanna email me and ask deeper questions. However, here's the Cliff Notes. The Cliff Notes says, but as in last year, you've come out completely we have no material concerns. We feel like we're handing you a clean audit again, and I'm quite proud of the work we've done and the work SVCE is doing. And I'd be done with it.
Yeah, I'd say the 5 minute is the right,
5 minutes or less.
yeah, I'll say. No, I would not add to this slide deck, and I think the way in the
And
page
if
you
people wanna
went
ask
through it
questions,
is-
you can pull it
We'll
out.
be attaching the report
Right,
to the,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the board packet.
packet, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
certainly, just like you said, refer to it and say financial statements in the packet, happy to address any questions there as well. And depending on the nature of the question, Don, it might be something that you provide some info on, or me. But, so, okay.
I mean, we did not have a lot of interaction last time either, right, at the board? So
I
much.
can't remember if I got
It
any
was
questions
I'm
last time.
Close to
May have
this
been.
size presentation, and it was
Yeah.
well received, and,
But, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
to Courtney's point that, the two of us don't get to sit there, I wanna take this opportunity to congratulate staff again, for a job well done. This is good, this is good.
thank you, and thank you, Mike and Brett and Beth, for their work as well.
Is there anything that we need to make sure Nancy's prepared to do as a result of being kind of the lone audit committee representative?
We all ran for the hills.
Well,
I'll send over a package of reading materials.
All the new gas we can also.
A list of all of our clients.
We'll usually put together a blurb for you
Yeah.
of what transpired.
Right. And is this part of the audit committee report, or is it a separate item?
This would be the audit committee report, right?
Yeah, that's when or if you could add something, of course, to when Brett is presenting as well. As the vice chair of the committee.
Fine. It would be, we reviewed it, and here it is.
Yeah, I think, just to, certainly not to put words in your mouth, but, letting them know that we've met
I'd say
3 times during the process, so it's,
We'll send you a note on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you get to almost like introduce this
I,
item,
you know,
and
I
say-
can seem totally on it at times, like, there. hopefully, this will be one of those times.
I think it looks great.
Ah,
Well,
You
thank
want
so
anything
much.
else from us?
No?
Thank you, Brett, very much. Thank you to the whole team. And of course, I echo Janie's comments too. Fantastic job.
And like, yeah,
so let me ask a more generic question, in terms of, in terms of auditors, how do we set up our contract for the auditors in terms of, is it for X number of years and then extendable?
So we've done 3 years with Brett's firm, and it's extendable, I think, up to another 2.
Another two, and this is year number,
This is 3,
this is 3.
right.
Okay.
So I would move to renew Brett for another 2 years, and then you
Well,
probably.
yeah, the reason I ask is because that might be something, that, I mean, I concur with that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if we don't want part of what she says, if we need to.
Okay.
Just,
That's a good
if you,
point.
again, it's not on the agenda
Mhm,
to do
mhm.
that, but going forward, it
Mhm.
might be a recommendation that we,
Yeah, what's your thought?
no, what's your recommendation to do it? Oh, to.
so I think we should
Yeah.
go ahead and extend.
Yeah.
I don't think auditors, mentioned MTC earlier, we had the same auditor for God only knows how many years. It's like, I think it's time for a change, just because fresh eyes, a different look sometimes, but not because of any badness, but.
Right.
But to me, if we've done 3 years, extending out again, I think would make sense.
Yeah, and I think then in 5 years, we reevaluate our.
Yeah, and then we can
or
look
something
at
like that. But that would be great too.
But yeah,
Thanks, guys.
if we're allowed to put that in our
Okay.
report, that we would, when it comes forward, that we would encourage extension of the contract.
I'll put that in the blurb. Yeah.
You agree?
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
fine by me.
Anthony,
I
you
miss you
agree?
guys on the audit committee as well.
See ya.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I miss you guys too. Okay, any committee or staff remarks? Yeah.
no, I had.
Oh, yeah, please.
I have a comment about the presentation.
Let's hear it.
So, as near as I can tell, this is sort of the SVCE colors,
No,
Or is
those,
it the-
those are actually some of,
the RSM colors.
it's more, the green just looks pretty. I wanna say, cause really our color is orange, we don't
I
really,
would personally use orange, because you're not us,
oh, I understand what you're
And
saying.
it's like-
Yep,
I would use orange.
yeah, I didn't even, it didn't
'Cause
occur to
like,
me that
yeah.
that,
The visual
Overlap.
cue of independence.
yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
very,
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you don't wanna make it look like it went through the SVCE filter and.
100%,
yeah, green.
hey Beth. Did you catch that one?
Yes,
Maybe-
we'll change the coloring for the final presentation.
Yeah, we could have Ashley work on that, I think. Okay. No, I mean, avoiding any of the appearance of anything that might be, causing independence issues is a very good, relevant point. Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, to me, it could be as simple as just changing the background color. I don't think, your text in
Well-
green is fine. I don't think that's a problem, because it is, our RSM, it's in their color palette of their, I work with RSM a lot, so,
Yeah.
but I just don't think you don't have to go too crazy,
I think the message has been received.
but, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll.
We'll spice it up.
Spice it up. Chili red. I see it coming. I see it coming.
Saffron instead of, Anaheim pepper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know it's a good audit when we're talking about colors. so-
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Great.
The biggest decision we made.
That's good.
I mean, sorry, it's.
No, I think your
No,
point's
It's,
I-
it's a really, and I'm not just saying this, that's a very savvy point, because
It is.
you do not want to give any impression of a lack of independence, so, yeah.
All right. Any other comments on the audit?
No.
No, I think, happy, and we're very happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any committee or staff remarks? Okay, then I think we're adjourned. Thank you guys.